Alright, today we're going to show you how we make chaga tincture. It's a fairly simple process, and we'll walk you through it. Here what we have are a couple of things which is essential. First, chaga. And this, I'll explain to you in a minute what that is. But obviously the first thing you're going to need if you want to make chaga tincture is chaga. And this is some that the wife and I harvested over the last year. And what I'm going to do is I will take you to a short video that we took while we were harvesting some of this chaga. Give you a little bit of an idea of what it looks like in the field and the process for actually obtaining your own chaga.
Alright, here we are, one of our favorite spots. Found this little tree. Nothing down at the base, but as you pan up, there we are. Bada bing, bada bang. Now we can't, I can't zoom with this, unfortunately, but I'll take some pictures that I can zoom with, and you'll see it. But there it is, right up there, probably 14 feet in the air. So, oh, sorry, yeah. Wife just reminded me, we've got to tell you what we're actually looking at. We're looking for some chaga, and there it is, and we'll get some close-up pictures of it. Alright, so that tree I just showed you had that chaga up there, about probably 14 feet. This is 3 of the pieces off it. There's like 4 or 5 up there, but one's a little taller, a little further up the tree. I'm not going to try to get that one off, and I'll leave that. But as you can see, this is chaga. Here's my hand to give you a little references to the size of these pieces. And there's the black exterior that you would expect to see, almost like a bark almost in texture. And there's that fiery yellow orange color from the inside. Beautiful pieces. And on this one over here, you can see that typical birch bark that we expect to see in that. And again, as you come around, there's that nice orange color on the inside. Beautiful, beautiful samples of chaga. So that's what we're hunting today, or at least some of what we're hunting today.
So that's a video from the field where the wife and I actually harvested some of the chaga that you see here. So now, on to what this is. This is chaga that we broke up into smaller pieces, filled up this gallon jar. The wife and I were just talking about this morning. We think it was about 9 months ago that we put this chaga in this jar. Then what we did is we went out and we got 100 proof vodka, and we put it in there. So what the liquid you see is actually 100 proof vodka. And the intention here is that we are using this vodka to extract some of the elements in this chaga that we want to be able to consume, the healthy aspects of the chaga. And from all the reading I've done, this extraction method will get out key healthy elements in the chaga that we all want to consume, the health benefits. But it will not get all of the healthy elements out. The other method to getting the elements out of this chaga that we want is with heat, such as you would as if you made just a simple tea with this. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn this chaga that's been soaking in vodka for the last 9 months, and we would shake it on a regular basis, agitate it to work it in there so it's all mixed together good. We feel like we've got all the nutrients out of this we're going to through this method, and now on the way to making a chaga tincture, we're going to use heat to release some of those other great things that are in there. So we start with the chaga. You got to put some time and effort into this method, the soaking in the vodka. And now I'm going to show you what the next step will be. Okay, the next thing that we have to do to start making our tincture is we have to separate this vodka from the chaga. So I'm just going to use a strainer in this pot. all that. Okay. We end up having to measure this liquid once we get this out of here. So, and then we have to continue to process the chaga. So, so this will take a couple of minutes. I want to make sure I give it plenty of time to strain all the liquid out. But that's going to be the next step. Separating our chaga from the vodka. Okay, so I've got most of the vodka separated out from the chaga. What I have here is I put a little bit on a plate. The wife and I were talking as we were taking it out. It's amazing when you work with chaga. This is in its dried form. And I will say, just as a little bit of a note, if you're going to break this up into smaller pieces, definitely better to do it when the chaga is green, when you freshly harvested it. As it dries, it becomes much harder and far more difficult to break into smaller pieces. But it's amazing. This is actually turned this very spongy, as you can see. You can actually kind of break pieces off. If you've worked with any amount of chaga in the wild, you'll know that that's not something that you will see very often. So that vodka really gets in there and softens that up and breaks that up. So what we're going to do now is we have this vodka, and it is infused with all that goodness from the chaga. I'm going to put it into a mason jar here because we need to get a measurement of how much we have, how much liquid we're working with. So this is where it's handy to have some home brewing equipment, a very large funnel around. So we can pour off that. And of course, with the large mason jar, we get the measurer on the side, so that'll help me when I get ready to measure the amount of water that I need. And then we'll move on to the next step. Now what you see here is that we have 4 cups. Comes right almost perfectly to that measurer on the side of the mason jar. 4 cups of the vodka that we've extracted from the chaga. I will tell you, we started with way more than that. That chaga is holding a considerable amount of vodka. And what I've done is I grabbed a couple of other mason jars because I am going to need twice the amount of water as I have vodka when I started. But I've done it as 4 cups and 4 cups because I need to do it in 2 separate stages, and you'll see how that will play out as we move forward. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next step. So what we've done is we've took the remaining chaga that we had left over after we had taken our vodka off, and we've put it into our cook pot. Recall, we have twice the amount of water here in 2 different containers as we had vodka that we took off from this thing. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take 1 of our waters and we're going to put it into the pot. Mix that around good. Just about barely covers it, just like we would like. So now what I'm going to do is my wife is kind enough to give me one of her wooden skewers. I'm going to slide that down the side till I'm at the bottom. And then I'm going to take that and mark that. The reason I'm doing this is because I'm going to add now that other half of the amount of water that's going to be in here in total. And then we're going to bring this to a boil. And I'm going to boil it back down to this level. So essentially, I'm going to simmer this and boil off half of the water. So we'll show you what that looks like. Okay, so I put a little bit of a mark on my stick where we want to boil back down to. Now, I'm going to take the other half of the water that we have. I'm going to add that in. Now, we're off to the stove. Okay, we've got the pot over onto the stove. We have the heat on high, and we have it covered. And this is the way we're going to leave it until we can actually bring this to a boil. Okay, this has come to a boil. So what we're going to do, I'm going to take our cover off, and I want to turn that heat down. I want this to be a nice, slow simmer. and we'll come back as it boils down to the mark on the stick that we had earlier. And just as a note, earlier on in the video I talked a little bit about the two different extraction types of ways of getting the nutrients out of the chaga that we wanted. One of those was the soaking in the vodka, and the second was heat. This method is very similar to brewing a chaga tea, and that is what we're essentially doing by boiling this down, using the heat to continue to extract the nutrients from the chaga. Okay, as you can see, this is starting to boil down, and I'm just from time to time giving it a stir to continue to mix it, and as you'll see, that liquid in there is just as black as it can be as it works to pull all those valuable nutrients out of that chaga. Okay, so what we've done is this is boiled down. You can see it's back to the mark where we want it on the stick. So now the next step is to shut this off. We'll cover this. We'll put it on the back of the stove, and we're going to let it set there. Tomorrow I'll come back, I'll add another 4 cups of water, I'll boil it down again, and then I'll come back a third day, add another 4 cups of water, and we'll boil it down again. On that third day, we'll have a finished product. This is our third day of this process. We had set this aside, we let it cool, and to save a little bit of time, I haven't shown you every day, every step, but basically this is the third day that we've boiled this down, and we're almost down. Let me just, I'll show you that when we put the stick in, this thing actually is down to where we want it to be. So after 3 boilings, you can see that little mark over there. We're down to where we want this to be. We should have 4 cups of finished product. Alright, so here we are. We've got this boiled down 3 times, and I'm going to try to get some of this out of here. I'm going to try to scoop some of this off into this container. A little bit of that drain off. Nope, I'm making a mess. Alright, so we've got some of the chaga out of there. You can see it's draining a little bit, so we're going to put that over here into an empty mason jar just to let that continue to drain down. We want to make sure we get all of the extract out of that. Okay, so we're going to strain off the rest of this. And then we're going to let that set, make sure we get all the moisture out of it. Alright, so we made a little bit of a mess, but we basically got the liquid extracted out of the chaga. So we saved you having to watch us make a mess. This is the alcohol vodka that we took off on the first day that we started. And so to finish this tincture, all we are going to do is again crack out our big funnel. We're going to add the liquid from our boil down to the original liquid that was in there, and continue to make a mess. And this is our final product, tincture, chaga tincture. And there it is.